We're going to start discussing your ordinances here. What I'll do is I'll turn this portion over to you and you can go over these.
All right, we'll start with proposed ordinance number 3.
Hang on.
No, it's proposed ordinance number 3. It's the ordinance amending section 2-15-11, required graffiti notification.
How come we can't find it? What page?
It should be just in the packet, under
Oh, you're at now.
legislation
The
committee.
first
level.
thing is those
Oh,
Yeah, keep that one separate.
Yeah,
The one
that's
that's in
right.
the, one that's in the clip separate.
Yep. We're going ordinance 3.
It's after the public safety fee.
Are we gonna be doing 2, right?
2 and 1.
Okay, I got 3. Does everybody have 3?
Yep. I got 2.
Almost. Dennis, let me know when you got yours.
If you go to the last page,
Way at the end.
go 2 over.
I got them. All right, I got it.
All right, go ahead.
So the only thing that changed on this from the last, the time this was proposed was just adding the definition of graffiti. So you see under definitions, it gives the definition of graffiti, and the rest stays the same. Does anybody else have anything that they looked into as far as any amendments to this?
So subsection A, required notification. Have we given any thought to 12 days of appearance versus 12 days of discovery?
As soon as they get notified of it, that's 12 days of the appearance of when it's issued, when the ticket's issued to them.
Okay,
Let
so
them
we're,
know.
so we're not talking about the appearance of the graffiti itself, we're talking about the,
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I'm not gonna, we gotta notify people, so it's 10 days of the notification of that. So, they notify them, they've got 12 days to recognize that, if it's visible from the city right away. I mean, I don't know what,
no, I'm talking about just, appearance of the graffiti versus discovery of the graffiti could be different. I just wanted to ask that question, if you looked into that at all.
I mean, the appearance is not, it's not gonna make a difference. I mean, you could discover something and not give them issue of when it's there.
Well, the only reason I ask is it's tied to 12 days. So if there was no time limit, it'd be like, all right,
Right,
appearance,
so
discovery.
if I call the codes department and they go there and it's a Monday, and they issue the notice to the property owners, it's 12 days from the issuance of when they get that notification of when the codes department did.
Business days or regular?
It's just regular days, so, it's a good mail and say it,
So this is gonna, how is it, this is gonna work where they have the time, they have 12 days to take the graffiti off. If not, we come and do it, okay?
If they've gotta sign a notice, so there's other enforcement processes. So they get the notice and contact, they get the removal section, and then there's, oh, it's not actually attached to this, but there is a form that they have to, that they will be submitted. That-
Saying that they're giving us permission to
Yep.
go do that?
Or they have a, so they have the, they can remove it themselves.
Right, no, I'm saying
If they sign a waiver, then it's the city that does the removal. But they would be reimbursed if they remove it themselves, or the city does it, and it's just under the city's cover.
Okay, in the city, if the city does come and do it, if something goes wrong, we're not liable for it, right? That's what the waiver is.
That's what the waiver was, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, I just, it's actually terrible. I mean, the amount of places that I've driven around that are private property that there's graffiti, it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's easy when the city can go clean it, where it says F U and the P, or, you know what I mean, like that, and that's obviously something we gotta clean up. But, I mean, when there's graffiti written all over the side of buildings that are not appropriate, I mean, it just doesn't look right. I mean, the city has to do something, I mean, cause it's getting to the point where
Yeah, I agree
we
with you.
can't, there's some issuances that they have, there has been some instances where the police department has caught a person damaging property, and the property owner won't press charges against the person in order to go after them. So it's like if they don't have any, you know, recourse to do it, then it stays that way,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Sam, the only, I think it's fine, but it's just that when it says any graffiti from property within 12 days of the graffiti's appearance. Now, does that mean 12 days of the city notifying them? They have 12 days after
Yeah,
the
that's
city
what it is.
notifies them?
Yeah, the owner of the property in the city shall be contacted, that's the contact, of graffiti and any such property within 12 days of that appearance if such graffiti are visible from the public right of way.
Okay, so it's 12 days from the day the city.
The city recognizes it, yeah. I mean, it can't be enforced unless it's somebody with authority that sends them a notice.
Should you say notice?
Right, it's from the right of way. So if they go and they drive by something that has graffiti on it, and the codes department wants to enforce it, they can utilize this law to send them that notice. I mean, I don't know, unless I'm reading it wrong, I don't see it being that
People
difficult.
can notify the city if the city doesn't know it. If all of a sudden you wake up and you got graffiti all over your house, before the city does, they can call probably too, right?
Yeah, I mean, but, I mean, if you're a homeowner, you should be cleaning that out
Right.
too. I mean, so, again, this has gotta be used for, in discretion as well, just like any other law we have in the book. I mean, listen, I'm not saying that this is gonna be perfect, there might be some things that we have to amend,
Trying to do something.
but it's a start. So, I'll be more than willing, if something doesn't work out on this, to amend it to, so that it does work out. But we've gotta start somewhere. We probably should have did this a long time ago, but, I mean, obviously politics got in the way at that one, so, I mean, other municipalities do it. So, why not give it a try? Yeah, no, long enough. Anybody else have any other questions?
So it's 12
No.
days after they were notified then, all right.
Anything else on that?
If, okay.
We're all good with it?
I don't know, Joe, I mean, whatever you got, I mean, you should have gave this to me before, so I was able to answer your questions. I mean, I sat with the public safety commissioner, I sat with the police department, you know, I mean, this is what we went over and we came up with.
Did we get corporation counsel's revisions?
Yeah, first of all, our corporation counsel is Judge Garamo, okay? Judge Garamo's had this legislation for 3 months and never gave anything for that. I sat down with the public safety commissioner and and city's corporation counsel in regards to this, and this is what we went through. We came that the only thing that was missing from this that we could see was the actual definition of graffiti.
Ready on the right? Ready on the left?
All right, is there any more questions on this? Give them another minute.
Okay.
Anything from the corporation council?
Corporation counsel isn't here.
Excuse me, the
No.
public safety commissioner?
No.
You happy with this? Please? If you guys don't have any say in it.
No, you're not happy with it, or no, you don't have anything else to say?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay, all right, good, let's go.
Are you sure?
No enforcement at us, I'm happy.
No, well, and that's what it is, chief. I mean, this actually kind of backs you guys up. For the simple fact that if you do find somebody that's doing graffiti in a building and somebody doesn't press charges on them, then there really is no way to clean up that property, you know, and that's kind of how this came back up.
My only concern would be the process, say if it does go to court, the courts or the judge that's gonna be overseeing this case, gonna view this, now you're victimizing the person that had the graffiti against them.
Right, and that's
Because
why,
I'll give you an example. We had a graffiti case we charged about 7 years ago. And this guy was going around, he was graffitiing utility boxes, telephone poles, public buildings. And he dismissed the charges because he said it was an expression of art.
right, so this one actually it isn't a criminal charge. That's why we've gotta get a way around actually getting the property owners to clean up the property. If they don't, they sign the waiver, then the city goes and does it. So that's kind of how we're getting around the fact of, we gotta clean it up one way or another, and this is without, if they don't wanna charge or they dismiss the charges, then the city can take that from the code standpoint
Okay,
and enforce it. Does that make sense?
it does.
Okay.
Have we looked at if the property owner doesn't sign the consent form and won't abate it themselves
We do it.
on their private property?
On their
Any
private
issues
property.
with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna be up to the codes department to whether or not they wanna enforce it. But if the city's gonna reimburse them, and the codes department, or the city will pay for it, I mean, they're more than welcome to have that on their property if they wanna stay, but, I mean, this is a notice that the city will clean it up for them if they don't want it.
So would
If they choose to sign the waiver.
Would this transfer over to the normal codes enforcement provisions that are already on the books?
Yeah, the only
Okay.
thing that we have to update is the actual, well, they follow our city code. The codes department.
Yeah, they're,
So their
with
codes
the,
enforcement's
within the
on
code,
Eco
yeah,
360,
yeah.
So that's how they look it up.
So it would, when there's not consent, you would just default to the regular codes enforcement procedure in our city code.
Most likely, yeah, yeah, like I said, this is something that hasn't been on the books before, and obviously we've gotta work some, hopefully we don't have to work any kinks out and it works the way it's intended to. If not, that's something that we're gonna have to amend, if it doesn't. But, we can't do anything if we don't try it.
Everybody happy?
Yep.
All right, let's
I
move
mean, I don't
on.
know, it's not really a happy piece of legislation, it's kind of annoying, to be honest with you, but, I mean, as long as everybody's okay with the way it reads.
Okay, let's move on.
Where are we going, 2 or 1?
Two, one's gonna take some time, cause I've got a new piece, don't unhook this one, you'll have this one separate, that's got the paper clip on it, leave that one intact. Cause the one that's in your actual legislation packet is gonna be thrown out, cause that's the old version of it. The next one is, rescind and replace the entire section, it's putting it under one whole section, loitering, aggressive becking, soliciting, and camping. You'll see that highlighted, what we added was public monuments or statues.
Which one is this?
That's under public places, that's the actual,
You added public places.
yep, statues and monuments. Okay, and then if you go into section 2-15-45, section D, this included unless it's authorized by the city of Utica, a paid permit or written permission, it shall be unlawful for any person to solicit or attempt to solicit employment, business contribution, or sales of any kind, or collect monies for such the occupant of any vehicle traveling upon any street or highway when, and then it gets into the following. Now, what this goes into is, if somebody's begging, right, they're collecting money, one of the things, and this was what we talked to with the state, this is what we talked to with a number of people throughout the county and other parts of the region to try and figure out a way that we can, enforce this on a local level. So basically, if somebody's on the side of the road, they are collecting, asking for money, they have to have a permit, if it's in the city street. If they don't have a permit, then they have to be asked to leave. Now, this goes back into, I guess, one or two things, all right? It talks about the penalty for violation, all right? And it's any person committing an offense against this article shall be guilty of punishable by a fine. First offense, $25, and then up to the penalty and obviously the maximum going into jail. What I think this will do, and it's not necessarily for the permit, I guess it is for the permit itself, is actually kind of just getting, if we can't get people to get off the street, if we can't get them to, want to leave on their own, now tallying a running record of who these people actually are. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing that we're running into, and I think this has been a discussion that we've had you know, in these chambers, is really not knowing who anybody is. Who wants services, who wants this, who wants that? So again, this is a component for us to kind of keep a running record on what we can do. I'm not saying that this legislation's perfect by any means, but I think that we have to, again, try something because it's a serious nuisance. I mean, you have, just on Oriskany Boulevard and North Genesee Street going into that alone. I mean, now you have people begging, they're taking turns in and out. You've had, how many mattresses have we picked up from there? I mean, I don't know what else we do as a city. I know that this might sound like a loophole, but again, it's something that we at least have to try, because I have exhausted all options of where I think that the city can go with this. And again, it's not perfect, but at least we can tell them to move, right? To go get a permit from the city. If they get a permit, then they're able to do that, you know, but then now they're collecting money, you have their name on file, what they're doing, how they're collecting it, so on and so forth. So that's,
Well,
again,
let-
not perfect, but
So let's say they're at Copernicus Park and they're laying a mattress on the road.
that's not just that. That goes into camping. That goes into the whole other section.
So it's up to the police department to go over there to move.
It would be codes, yeah.
The police, because they're gonna be dropping their mattress
Yeah, night.
there.
Yeah, but we've been doing it, because we and the chief talked about this before, not even calling to bother them, we just go there and tell them it's a public park and it's Monday night, and it just happens to be every Monday night at Copernica, there's mattresses there like it's a sleepover.
Well, are you watching them lay the mattresses?
Yeah, they're laying on them.
So we're gonna have somebody posted there every night?
Well, now they haven't been there all of a sudden, so, and the mattresses haven't been around.
I mean, people are at United Square every single day. I got all.
The library's
these are
the
all
hot
laws.
spot now, they're all
Loitering's
laying
a
on the
law.
benches in front of the
Loitering's a law.
library.
I mean, how do you get rid of them? I mean.
Well, the problem is
is it
most of the
easy?
laws for loitering have been declared unconstitutional, not only by the
Yeah.
state, but federal government. That's the issue.
So is this gonna help you though?
Oh, you're
I don't
just
see what's
pushing
gonna
them
help
from
us.
another
Here's
to
the
another
issue I have,
spot.
is that, I don't know if this is legal to begin with. I don't know if Corporation Council has researched case law on this to see if it's legal. My concern, say even if we were to ticket these people for soliciting, right? Chances are, they're gonna not show up to court, there's gonna be a warrant. When we bring them to court, right, what do we do with their property? Usually they come with backpacks, and they're infested with bugs, cockroaches, the whole 9 yards. Now they infect my police department. The biggest problem I have is once we arrest these people, what do we do with their property? And what means trash to us is maybe another man's gold. I mean, that's the issue. And the
So
court
what
is
is the
very
law to
clear
throw it
with his
away?
personal property.
And you can, what, says if you arrest somebody, the law is you gotta keep their property?
Can't
Yeah,
throw it away.
it's personal property, you just can't throw it away.
A shotgun cutter?
No, just load up.
Right, no, okay.
The issue I have is this, is that when we deal with the homeless problem, the only solution can't be just the police all the time, to deal with homelessness. There should be these organizations out there, we had them in here earlier, they should be doing constant outreach. There's some organizations like ICANN that do that, there's plenty others that are controlled by the county that are not doing that. It just can't be we're not gonna be able to rush our way out of this problem when it comes to homeless. If we just rely on laws and police to settle it,
But I don't think for the most part, we're just talking homelessness. We're talking people on the street.
Right.
Begging, being nuisance. Like over at Oriskany Boulevard today, over there by the hospital.
but there's a simple
Guys
solution.
gotta
If they
camp.
didn't give to these people, it wouldn't be there. We always say, give to the organizations that support homelessness, not to the people themselves. Because it goes to drugs, it goes to alcohol, it goes to cigarettes. And that's the issue. Listen, the public opinion of police, we're trying to improve it. If it looks like we're attacking homeless people, it just makes the police worse than what we are, the reputation we already have. That's my concern.
And I don't think the people on the I mean, I think your campsites and things like that, I think I should go into that the homeless component, but they're not.
People
They're
gotta be
drug
more
use.
aware, don't get the money.
I mean, how many?
I mean,
people-
there's a
We've
sign
been-
right next to
I
it.
think
We've done that for like 7 years. I mean,
And I
that
don't
really,
know
I
if
mean,
people are really giving a lot. I never see.
There's people giving
There's
them money.
people.
Yeah, but not a lot.
they said they're up to like $200 to $250 a day at some, for some
They
people.
wouldn't be out there if they weren't getting money, I tell you that.
One of the things we have been doing is, when they are actually in the street soliciting, we've been giving,
Right over there.
the traffic summonses for it. my concern is when they're on a public right of way other than the street, can we enforce it? And I'm just concerned that based on federal and state case law, that came down against creating laws for loitering, I'm a little concerned about that. And if our officers feel there may be some ambiguity with the laws, they're not gonna enforce it.
Then Chief, then I guess when, and I honestly, like, there's a couple, these pieces, I mean, obviously, some are feel-good legislations, and I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, what else do we do besides call the county and besides call everybody else in? I mean, I don't know what else, what else we do.
And we share your frustration as well, because we're the ones getting the calls on them, whether or not we can do anything or not. It's just that, unfortunately, this is a social problem. They're trying to make it into a police problem, and we're limited what we can do.
So Chief,
Are they in New Hartford or Whitesboro? Why are they only in Utica?
They have been in New Hartford. For example, Consumer Squares. There was a woman out there, I just talked to the Chief Fontaine on it. She even had a baby carriage out there, fake baby inside, but she was using it as a sympathy to beg and get donations. The difference was that the property owners of the Consumer Square were willing to press charges for trespassing if she came on the grounds again. And when they were in the roadway on Commercial Drive soliciting, they started issuing traffic tickets for soliciting in the roadway, like we're doing now. So I guess my frustration, I share with the same frustration as all of us. It's just that I think there's limitations what we can do legally.
So Chief, I guess my question is, what would be the issue of asking them to get a permit so that we can get people on file? I mean, I'm not saying that they're gonna follow it, but what if you just issue them, if they choose not to go for it, you could say, hey, this person's already on record for asking them to get a permit. The courts, they've been through the court systems, they haven't done that. I mean, what would limit us to be able to pursue
I just
something like
wonder,
that?
if it'd be legal for one, and secondly, what's gonna end up happening, say we do issue summonses for not having a permit. Chances are they're not gonna show up to court, we're gonna end up making the arrest. Then we bring this person in, and.
But I guess,
Hang on, I got a question.
I guess how many
So-
times does it have to happen to them, for them to go and get the help that they actually need? Through the county too. I mean, because now the county, after that.
People, they're living on the streets.
Rock, I get that, but it's gonna be to the point where somebody's gonna end up hitting them, and they're gonna die, and then the person's either gonna get charged with vehicular manslaughter or something like that.
But I will tell you this
I mean,
much.
this is literally a public nuisance for the most part.
Despite the-
And it's frustrating to say that there's nothing that can be done. I mean, we haven't tried this. That's, I guess, goes back to my point of, why not try something?
I think
And Chief, you know that I'm not.
I think you gotta move the rescue mission, the Hope House, social services out of the city of Utica. And I think you gotta work with the
First of
county.
all, it ain't gonna happen.
They're never gonna wanna get out. Why would they wanna get out?
It's not against the law for somebody, I mean, they're not selling anything. You're giving them money. They're not selling, it's not a trade. You're just giving them money.
Goes after,
So-
if
so
you're
it's
collecting
not-
money.
They're not, if I give you money,
And
I
you
walk
don't-
up to you and give you money.
And you
there's
don't fill out a tax form.
There's nothing illegal about that.
We-
I'm not selling you anything where I need a
We
license.
just went through this with one of the permits that we did, because it was based on pituitary gain on city property. So we issue a permit to somebody, they go and they have a party, and now we're saying that it was against the law after, the ABC violation and what's going on on public property, that they have pituitary gain on what that is. And now we're allowing that on the public right of way to do the same thing. I guess that's where do you draw the line on who's allowed a permit and who's allowed not? The last meeting that we had, one of the concerns was we don't have a way to keep a tally on everybody that's there, what they're doing in this and a third. So, talking to, it was like Griffo's office, a couple other people, one of the suggestions that they did was they said, add a permit process. If they issue a permit, they don't get it, now the courts know that they violated the city right away, they already have that name on file. So that's one of the things in working with the courts and talking with them, is to try and help us get a running record of where these people are coming from, what are they doing, how are they doing it, you know?
Really can't
I mean,
predict.
I'm not, like I said, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that we from the last meeting that we had, kind of, even when the county was here, to try and come up with a way that we can.
Well, the problem with that is, we've done that with our community outreach team. We found the majority of the people that we are coming in contact are not originally from Utica.
Oh, 100%.
The county will
100%.
tell you they're from Utica.
Yeah, But that's what I'm saying.
But that's because they recently came to Utica
But-
from elsewhere.
But chief, a majority of the time that you're not charging them though. Like you're not, you know, you might have their name on record, but there is no running tally for anybody to know and say, here's documentation. This person is named John Smith. He was in the middle of the road begging. It was now August 12th. It's now September 13th. This person's still in the road begging. How have you not given them the services, and what are you doing in order to help them?
Problem is that despite the outreach of our community, our crisis response team, what we find is the majority will not take the service until it gets called out.
And I get
And
that,
that's the
chief, but
problem.
like, how can we prove that to the people that are offering the social services? Again, if you still have the same person on the street saying, hey, listen, it's been a month and a half, how come you're not offering this person, even though they deny the
Well,
services?
we
like-
saw the lack of coordination with all the different services in that one meeting we had here.
100%.
There are services that existed, we didn't know existed at that time.
Right,
They
right.
get very defensive because they think we're calling them out.
Exactly.
But that's what I'm saying. So for us, for our standpoint, and again, I know it sounds maybe even barbaric to some people to say, hey, listen, you're standing there in a public right of way, you need to get a permit, okay? It's $25. You go, I mean, again, they're not going to, but at least if you get their information and have that and say, listen, again, it's been 2 months,
So they get
They
a
still
permit,
haven't get the
so we're gonna let
services.
them stay there and collect money?
they would stay there and collect money, yeah.
But they, none of them are gonna go get the permit.
Not saying that they won't, but now you have a record
Well,
of,
if they get a permit, then we.
now they have a
where
record
they
of,
were.
now they have a record of who they are.
You could probably stop these guys and ask them who they were to begin with.
How do you know,
ask
how do you know who they are?
Typically, when you go up to them, you ask them their name.
Yeah, and they're gonna say,
Some won't have ID on them,
Go
which
after
means we have to bring them
But
to
it's
the
not
station.
against the law not to have ID.
Yeah.
No.
Chief, is a lot of this problem happening?
do you have any other solutions? No, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, nobody, I'm sitting here trying to come up with
I'm
something.
trying to figure if it's willing to stick.
But I agree, but how do you know if you don't try it? Again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Because it's more prevalent. I mean, what you find traditionally is most addicts don't have, but their partner will have Narcan.
Right. So there's different ones. I mean, basically, this homeless issue of begging, let's face it, it's more of a drug problem. than
Well,
anything
you know what it
else.
is? I say it's more of a social problem, because it's not only drugs, it's a lot of mental health as well.
Right.
What people don't realize, when they close the psych center, a lot of those people, they can't really truly take care of themselves.
Right, they
They're
were
on
on
the street
meds,
now.
they were monitored, right?
Right, they're monitored. They can't live by themselves, and they're being forced.
Yeah, but
Into these-
the psych center closed probably what, 20 years ago, 25 years ago?
The total closure was just recently, about, what, 3-4 years ago? I think it was.
Maybe a little longer.
A lot of the people you knock back, are they the ones collecting money?
Except,
For the department? Oh, I wouldn't have those numbers, but I'm sure, you know, like you said, they're paying a lot of those drugs, and they're getting Narcan.
So is rubber boot?
Well, now that, you know, now the latest is that there's another different type of fentanyl that's coming out, it's
It's not a bad idea.
narcotic resistant. So,
But that's what I mean, like, it's just like, it's just, I mean, I get it. I guess I just don't know what other avenue is the city to approach and start holding, not just the people that are there accountable, like the people that are offering the services too. Like, it's just, it's frustrating.
my only concern is as long as it's looked at legally and it's researched, our officers feel confident enforcing it. If it's not properly looked at and vetted, then I'll tell you, the officers will not. If they feel uncomfortable, they're not gonna enforce it.
Yeah, no, I
And
get
if
it.
I have these questions, I'm certain they certainly have as well.
Yeah.
But you got, if you, I mean, you're the boss.
Right.
I mean, you tell them they gotta enforce it. they
Well,
gotta
I'm not gonna tell them to
enforce
enforce something that's not legal.
it. Okay.
What do they do now? Do they chase them away or anything?
Well, don't we know, then our
We do
corporation
community
council,
outreach,
everybody look
and
at
most of the
that?
times they won't take the service.
Chief, a part
Problem all over.
a
Mr.
part of,
Getz,
a part
what's
of
your
the,
thought on this?
Oh, you got a few hours?
Well, I know, that's what we're here for.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts with this. I guess I would start with the legality. The loitering statutes were rendered void because there was no criminality tied to the loitering. So what you're doing here is you're creating a system whereby the loitering itself is creating a public hazard. And you're also resolving the societal concern of just shutting beggars down because you're allowing them to do it. There's not, the licensing has gone on for 250 years. So I think this would all pass due process and constitutional muster. The concern here is really twofold, that you can do all this stuff and it'll be legal, but at the end of the day, you're only putting people in jail, and that's not gonna last. That's never gonna change until you change where they end up. So it seems to me that this kind of legislation is the start, but not the end. You've gotta find a way to move these violators into some kind of a community court system whereby it doesn't have to go where they're detained for days or weeks and then they go in front of a judge who's going to kick them free. There has to be a solution at the community enforcement level. They need a place to go. And if part of this can be put into that kind of a court system here, it resolves the police problems of where are they going to take them. You're going to need a place to go and process them on more of an administrative level. And when you get some kind of quote-unquote conviction, there has to be ramifications if they continue to do it. I mean, these people are all operating with cash, and you have to get the fine levied on the cash. And so there has to be an administrative process of doing that to take this out of the true police realm and more into a community policing system. It's the only way to solve this. And then weed out the people who are truly insane or afflicted. And that's, who knows what the real percentage of that is until you start getting some kind of way of determining who's doing this because they want to do it or because they have to do it. Then there's, I guess there's another level of this, which is, you know, what do you do with the camping on the street, and you know, is there a remedy there along the same lines of a community system whereby if they want to camp out during the summer, you can't tell them you can't do it on city property, but can you direct them to an area where they can do it, where a system is set up, and you put some money into that, whereby they have sanitation, they have some supervision, they have services. Because you're spending money one way or another, and it seems that you need to think about an investment.
My opinion, well, we don't have that.
Well, we
We
do.
don't have a place to do it.
No, you don't, but I'm saying you may.
We don't have a place to sort them out. We don't have another legal system.
No,
It's gonna take, let me finish that. We don't have another legal system.
But you keep saying we don't.
There's not,
If you-
we don't have another legal system that's gonna separate them, correct?
But-
So the only thing we have now is the legal portion that we can give them a ticket. And you feel that this would stand in court?
Yeah.
That we can?
I do.
we can-
I do. I haven't analyzed it, but
So-
my experience tells me that there's enough in where this has evolved to that ultimately the appellate courts are going to have to allow this kind of stuff. They're going to have to. They're going to have to allow some regulation of this without shutting it down, because you got your First Amendment problems, you got your Eighth Amendment problems. And I think this is a way to begin enforcement of some kind to let people know it's not going to be rampant.
Well, then.
So do you think?
Can I, guys,
Can I finish
I
my-
know,
my
but you guys
question?
have not, you just,
Then-
you
then-
piggyback on this,
then-
if you let
then-
me finish explaining.
All right, well, let me just finish.
I know, but you keep
Then-
making stuff up, and if you just let
I'm
me
not making
explain
stuff
that,
up.
I would be able to explain it to
Then-
you.
Then is it, would it be your end of it to create another legal system? Would that be the Public Safety Commissioner's job now, is to find another legal system to start separating these people? Would that be a job that you would take and you would work on?
I mean, I can take that as a project, but that has to be through legislation, you know, the city.
Yeah, we would work with you on, I'm sure.
Right, but if you read it, okay, and this is again, working with the court systems, working with the city to help trying to figure out a way. This also goes back to the court system where it says the first offense, it comes with judicial discretion for alternative sentences, meaning that they are forced to go to a drug court program. They are forced to do community service. They are forced to do those things. This is still leaving it in the court's discretion. Now, again, sitting down with the judges and having them understand that this is not just a legislative problem, but this is also a judicial problem as well. They have the right to enforce them to go to a drug court. They have the right to enforce them to go get the services that they need. They have the right to go tell them that they have to do A, B, and C of the following. I mean, so this again just doesn't stop here. And that was one of the things that I have I've sent it to the city court judges, like, if we pass this, this is what, what the expectations are, and then bring them into a meeting and let them know, like, this is what we expect out of you. Do you get what I'm saying?
That was gonna be my question to you. Did you get any opinion from the city
I
court judges?
did talk to a couple of city court judges, in regards to this, and I think that they were kind of waiting to see what the action of the city was gonna be as far as whether or not the legislation was gonna be passed, and then obviously utilize it to their discretion on what they wanna do. What I was gonna include in there, and I left it out, but part of the sentences of the judicial discretion, I was gonna put an example, I don't wanna tell a judge what to do or how to do their job, was drug court, things like that. So that's a sentence that they can impose. So that's something that, again, we have to sit down and work with them after that this gets done. And I know that I've talked to you, about making sure that if we're not just wasting our time issuing a ticket for it just to get thrown out. Like, we need their help too. And I think that drug court, community service, mandating that they receive social services, whether they like it or not, through that process. Again, it's a $25 fine. It's not like we're imposing a $1,000 fine on them. This is literally just to get them there and have the judges, help with that component of it.
But they're not gonna pay that fine.
Rock, they could waive the $25 fine and say you're doing
People get arrested
$50
every day and get let
worth
out.
of community
How many
service.
People get arrested?
Rock.
How many people?
Rock, you know what you
That's
can
just
do?
bail.
Huh?
That's bail.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
I mean, so this is, again, it's a
Well,
violation.
then-
It takes the
then-
criminal component, it takes the criminal component out. They decriminalize this stuff. So in order for us to enforce it, again, which what Mr. Getz touched back onto, is that the permit process, things like that, has been part of a code for a number of years that we can do. I mean, again, this isn't something that we looked, I pulled out of, I mean, we've been trying to work on this for almost 6 months now.
And
Let me ask you a question. Let me, and this is to every council person here. If you think that there's something that could help the city, that the city hasn't done before, and obviously in working with the police department, working with the public safety commissioner, and working with the judges, what other alternatives are we left with at this point?
Well,
I
number one,
think you
you
gotta
just
get
heard
the
him
county
say.
exec, the mayor.
Number one,
Yeah.
you
gotta
just
get the
heard
county
the
exec.
public
The
safety
county has to
commissioner.
help out, and they don't.
Right, but
Yeah,
Rock, this
that's
forces them. They've been in a meeting with us several times. I mean, that's,
Not the count, not.
they have, Rock,
You
they
gotta-
have. They
not
understand that their
percentage.
job is
Percentage
social
there.
services.
You need to hire
This is
us.
whatever, his
You gotta
public,
throw
whatever his
restaurant.
public safety commissioner
Can I
was, they were
go
here.
For a second, Jack, so, again, piggybacking on what Samantha just said. You just heard the public safety commissioner say that he thinks it's legal. They haven't done anything. What's it gonna hurt? You ever hear the word, this guy gets caught, maybe they spread the word out and scare them a little bit and keep them away? I mean,
I think
we're not doing anything.
our biggest goal isn't to find people. Our
We're not
goal is to
find
get them
them.
to help in the
But what I'm saying is,
services that
they
they
don't
need.
want help, but at least it's something, we're trying to do something.
But
I agree with what you're saying. But,
But the biggest thing through the court, if we have that cooperation, if we end up doing a community court or anything like that, part of the terms can be having to meet with the counselor, having to get services and all that. At the end game, who knows, but if part of what their penalty is, or whatever you wanna call it, is they need to meet with social services 6 times over a 2-month period, then,
but it'd be hard for me to believe that any of these people that are living on the street and begging are gonna follow a rule and go to court.
Right, but then it
or go to-
escalates, right?
You know
But
what I
then,
mean?
but then if they don't.
They have no structure, they're
Right,
not
but if
going.
they don't follow that, then
Right.
the alternative happens.
Right.
And that's where that judicial discretion comes in.
And another thing we gotta do is on this is that, Medicaid, half these people probably aren't even on Medicaid, probably on any services whatsoever. So if the court makes them go to a drug program, well, first of all, they don't have, the drug program's not gonna take them unless they got Medicaid or any other services. So this is gonna be a real problem, and if they do this 2 or 3 times and they don't go, Medicaid's gonna drop them, and then we have no place to send them. So it's gonna have to be really, if we do send them, there's gonna have to be some counseling along with these people to make sure they actually go to this. Because as a parole officer in the old days, my guys would lose their Medicaid if they blew things off, and then Medicaid wouldn't pay for things. So this is certain things you gotta look at too. So the county would have to get involved in this to make sure that they do get their Medicaid. Now, Dennis, do you know anything about this, how that works?
I talk to a lot of county people because my problem is when they come to Workforce Investment Board, we always send them over to the county if they tell us that they're homeless, and they have to declare themselves homeless. So the county should have a list of every single individual in here that's declared themselves homeless. The problem is a lot of people not going down there declaring themselves homeless. And like we were saying earlier, it's becoming more of a business than anything to me, because some of the people out there aren't homeless. Some of the people up in Steuben Park up on South Street, they're not homeless. Those are just people that's hanging out. And I know all of them getting benefits, some way from the county or at Social Security or wherever they're getting it from. They just hanging out. The ones that are standing on the corners asking for money, a lot of them people not homeless. They're just out there. You know, I thought they had a union going because everybody's doing the same thing now, so I don't know what's going on, but all of those people aren't homeless. The thing that I think is that a lot of the not-for-profits are letting the city down by not doing their jobs. Because if you're standing on the corner, and I work for the county or any other organization, Helio, CFLR, or whoever, I should be stopping there as a case worker, asking them if they're homeless, or do they have a mental health problem, do they have a problem, and trying to get them help, and they're not doing that. I mean, we can't push people in there. We could try. I mean, at Workforce, we try to push people to Helio and everywhere else, but there's a lot of not-for-profit organizations that aren't doing their job right now, and they get mad when you tell them that, but that's what's happening. They're not doing their jobs.
But and not for nothing, I mean, this goes back to what we talked about,
Right.
Even when we invited everybody here. I mean, now this is gonna be up, and not that you're adding more caseload to the court systems too, but like, now you're gonna have to have a running record, and like, I hate to say it, like a toe rotation, or a rotation type thing, you know? Like, okay, this is the first person we contacted, second person we contact, the third person we contact, and then go in a rotation, so you're not burdening one entity with those services. So again, this doesn't stop it at us, you know, with legislation or the police department. I mean, this is something that we have to advocate for in other aspects, you know, as well. So, I mean, again, I looked at what other municipalities, I researched it through NICOM, I talked to a bunch of people trying to figure out what alternative measure that we have. And I think it goes back to the biggest component is trying to get our court systems to help with
Yeah.
what we need to too.
Hey, Bob, do you got any take on this?
Well, I'm sitting here, and you said with the judicial discretion for alternate sentencing, maybe that should be services instead of sentences to allow them.
Well, I wanna leave it up to the judge. So you can't sentence somebody to drug court. You can't sentence somebody to community service. You can't sentence somebody to, you know, mandating that they get those services that they need. So I don't wanna limit it just to sentence as far as what they wanna do. Otherwise I would've just put drug court, things like that, of what they can do. When they dissolved the drug court, I think it was, I can't remember what it was, that all went to the city courts. So they're the ones that handle that, from parking tickets, things like that. I mean, that's something that they're burdened with, but again, you can't go back to the point where, like, I don't know, you gotta try something. And then if we go through this and we say, okay, well, this doesn't work, now where do we go?
I think this is great, that we try to do something, and if it doesn't work, then we go back and try to fix it.
I mean, that's,
This is something that we can do and then tweak it as we go.
you're trying to force them, and again, it like the big outcry is that you're trying to fine somebody, you're trying to penalize them. It's not. You're literally just trying what they have to do. And that's kind of, that was what I did.
30 years ago, they closed the state hospital, and they became my neighbors.
Yeah.
I used to restrain these people, and now they're living next door to me, and do you live here? No, I don't want these people to think, now they're my neighbor, and I'm thinking, and they couldn't take care of themselves, and that's why they were institutionalized, because they got up in the morning and didn't know they had to take medication.
I bet you my husband wishes there was still some services for me to go to.
Joe Yannick, anything?
Yeah, Councilwoman Testa, thanks for drafting this up. You know, it's definitely good stuff, and appreciate you taking the time to draft it up. And I think we all have the same goals. At the same time, I think we have to have our police department be comfortable with what we're passing, because if we're hearing that there's potential legality issues with loitering and enforcement, you know, I think we have to get to a spot where, you know, our police department feels comfortable with enforcing whatever we pass, because if we don't do that, specifically with the loitering, because, you know, from what I'm hearing with the loitering, constitutional issues, state laws, federal laws come into play. So, I mean, I'd feel comfortable working more with the police department, and Councilwoman Testa, I know that you have, but to do our best to thread the needle where we're accomplishing the goals that we're trying to accomplish, but also our department feels comfortable that they're not seeking to enforce something that's potentially unlawful.
I don't want to speak on behalf of Chief Williams by any means, but I know them talking with them. It's not just adding an extra layer to the enforcement component. And that's where we talked about getting the court systems in play with this, to make sure that they are not just, if you're issuing a ticket, not just letting them go. And that was what our original conversation was when we started this.
So where I see some of the problems with some of the people who issue tickets, many will not have ID, which means now we're bringing them or booking them. We issue their ticket, right? Re-release them, and I see a large majority is going to warrant. And then, because most people don't have a home, when it comes to the warrants division, they're required under the new Due Diligence Act to find these people. And after a certain period of time, they can't find these people, the warrants become null and void. So it creates a lot of extra work for the police department, especially our warrants division. We're currently doing it now with just 2 people in our warrants division. We add another component to this now with the homeless people. It's a bit more work on it.
So let me ask you a question. You deal with it almost every day right now, correct?
People call the police for everything.
So that's what I'm saying, especially with Oneida Square, especially with things that are going on. If we can get you to a point where this alleviates some of that, and again, the start of it might be a little, not a little, a lot of extra work for you, don't you think long-term, if we can get people off the streets, that it'll actually help you?
Yeah, but we're doing
with
the
some
jobs
of
of
the
social
burden?
services, in my opinion, and I think the other
I
issue
agree,
is
I just don't know how to enforce social services. Social services also doesn't have
No.
that component to enforce that, you know what I'm saying? So I guess it's a double-edged sword. And
But to the point that he made earlier, you have all the services here, that's where the people are coming here, and people are dumping, other entities are dumping their people as well.
And Chief, and I'm not saying that this can't be done too, but what if we do talk to the county and helping us fund some of these issues that we have if
I don't
we
think the
need
county
it?
wants to get involved in this, to be honest with you.
But it's a social service issue. I mean, it can't just be a city's problem. I mean, if you go back to it.
Worse and worse, sooner or later they got it, because it's getting worse by the month. There's more and more people out there every month,
I just came from a chiefs of police conference, every city is facing the same problem.
Well,
And there's no great solution.
Syracuse, right?
There's no great solution. We think it's just a Utica problem,
No,
it's a
It's like the
statewide
emergency,
problem,
it's like the
international
emergency
problem.
room. It's the same.
I was in Boston, and what they were doing was, it's not probably the correct thing to do, but they were like pushing all the people to one area. They just leave them alone in that area. I don't think they have any other.
Who wants to pick the area of Utica?
But that's what I'm saying, and that's what, honestly, I'm not as bad as now, but that's what it was, out of sight, out of mind. But, I mean,
I'm just
again,
telling you what they did in
I'm just
Boston.
saying, I live here, and I see this stuff every day, and I know that you guys live here and see this stuff every day.
I'm not
And I
saying
just
it's
can't,
right.
I'm just saying that I'm to the point where it's like, if I can enforce it myself, I would. You know what I'm saying? And I just,
I mean, it's actually,
I get your frustration, but you know what, the best programs I see nationwide, it has to be a collaborative approach. It has to be police, social services, it has to be codes, it has to be DPW, it has to be a regular outreach on a daily basis. The problem we have compared to these bigger cities that had that collaboration is that we don't hold the purse strings for a lot of these other entities. The county does. So we can't force them to do it.
Right, but then if you force the court systems to now, they have to take these people in that are in that violation and force them to get the services that they need, don't you think that's better than you guys just keep going to doing the same thing over? I
But
mean,
the
it's
frustration of the
definition
police is,
insanity.
a lot of times these tickets get dismissed.
And that goes back to the point.
And then it
Like,
comes to the point, why do we even do this to begin with?
why did you do it? And that's gonna be our standpoint. So now we've tried to go through the court system, we tried to do this, we tried to do that, nobody's helping us. And this is what we're left with. And I don't think that you've had a tool to give them to the court systems without that judicial discretion, other than that component of that.
And I always felt this way, it's really not a police issue. I really think it's more of a social services issue that needs to deal with mental health and drug abuse. And even when you look at the decriminalization of a lot of the simple possession laws for narcotics, it's even tied our hands with that. If you come across an addict with a substance in his needle, we can't even prosecute that anymore.
So let me ask you a question. And Chief, we've worked with each other for
Yeah.
many years. If this was something that we were to do, and it was becoming too burdensome or not enforceable, could we at least try it and then say, if this isn't working, we can either rescind it, amend it, or find an additional component?
I'm not against that. The only thing I would say is this. Through my 15 years as a chief, I've seen a lot of ordinances that have been put on the books that are outrageous and can't be enforced. And I just don't want this to be one of them. And they never get rescinded, these laws. They stay on the books. A curfew law. We can't enforce a curfew law.
Right. Is it
I
still
mean,
on the books?
It's still on the books. So I would say, just be careful what we're putting there. I just like to see, and I have great respect for this man, but the issue I see with this is that we can't be the only city that's ever tried this type of approach by getting permits. I'd like to someone actually research to see if there's case law that's been decided by the high courts to decide it.
I don't think that there has been, to be quite honest with you. And the reason that I say that is because I know that the state has given this recommendation to several municipalities to try out that process in order to get it, because they decriminalized.
You want us to be the guinea pigs?
I mean, I don't wanna say that there were gonna be guinea pigs, but I think that that was something that they strongly believed in their suggestion, that they thought that.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, I reached out to the chief of police from New Hartford at the time, which was Mike and Sarah. And what they were doing is they were also taking these people for not having a permit process when they're out soliciting for money. What I found out later, because I ended up talking to the current chief, Ronnie Fontaine, is that they used the they weren't using the proper section. They were using a soliciting door-to-door permit section rather than creating a section for this.
That was dismissed under that.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's why it's literally, it's very specific. And Chief, like I said, we'll take the curfew legislation off the books. I didn't realize it was still on there.
The only thing I say is this, it's not so much me. If the officers themselves don't feel comfortable, I'm telling you right now, they're the ones that gotta go to court. They're the ones that gotta write the paperwork, they gotta explain this. And potentially to a judge or, and whatnot. And if they're not comfortable doing it, they're not gonna enforce it. I just wanna make sure they feel comfortable, and this has been properly vetted.
That's fine.
Yeah. And
Do you
if
have
so-
any other suggestions or any alternative components to it? I mean, that's, I
I'll be
guess.
honest with you, if I did, I'd probably retire and sell this throughout the country as a consultant.
Can I patent it? I'll retire too.
But the reality is, we're not the only ones suffering from
working.
this. This is a nationwide problem, statewide problem. I mean, I just in my conversation, I had one of the most liberal cities I know is Utica. I was talking to the chief out there, and they basically, they don't put up with the encampments. They give them basically 72 hours notice, move your shit out of there, or we're gonna get rid of it. And they toss it. Yeah. I see where you're going with this. I fully understand why you.
Let me ask a question. If we go back and we have another meeting, we do it with the county, we do it with the courts, and we actually, I mean, I don't want to say word on it, but their word that they would enforce this properly so that they're not just wasting the police department's time, would that be something that would be more helpful in moving this forward?
I think the officers would be more comfortable if they know what the outlook of the judges on this are.
Okay. something
Because,
else.
again, they just want to write charges, only have them dismissed.
That's what they want everything the way it is now anyways, for the most part, right?
Yeah, the only problem is
For the
that
most
is
part,
that,
they can't- everything.
the only problem is they dismiss cases,
Yeah.
it opens the options out to, in a false arrest too, versus prosecutions. You
But
gotta
I mean,
be
even like shoplifting today, they arrest them, they take them, they write them, and they go shoplift the second time, third time, the same
As
day.
long as you have probable cause, a lot of times they're covered, but
Right.
the shoplifting's changed as well. I mean, we got to the point where we have people repeatedly shoplift in the same stores. What we've done now is we bumped it up to a felony. They've been previously warned not, they can't trespass in their store anymore. Now we're charging with burglary in addition to the larceny when they come back. That seems to be working for the larcenies. It's about being creative, and I get it. I mean, if the judges were more if we got reassurance that the judges were on board with this, I think the officers would be more comfortable writing this as well.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say a judge is gonna come in here and say that, but I think that it.
But the county law,
Yeah, I mean, but how many times can you tell them? I mean, it's just, it's.
It's frustrating, but it's, I don't know if there's a solution.
Joe, are you all done with your questions?
Good.
Tommy, Frank, you got any questions? Dennis?
Not really, because, you know, when I read this, I said, oh, I think this is gonna be pretty good, because, right now, we're not doing anything. But, I think Mark knows, you move them and you do whatever you gotta do, and it's the same thing the next morning. Yeah, like that.
It's like a balloon. Squeeze on one end, it pops up somewhere
Yeah,
else.
I mean, I just
And
feel.
it's not, I gotta be honest with you, it's not, the main thing out of all of it, it's not fair to our parks, and I don't know if DPW gets it, it's not fair to those guys. When you get
Not
people
fair to
criticizing the
DPW.
stuff in the city, when half of these guys' days are cleaning up encampments,
Yeah.
cleaning up, you know, it's not fair.
Down on the railroad tracks behind
Yeah.
It's not fair.
It's interesting,
It's
the
not.
annex kind of strange. Part is telephone company, part is the state, and part is us. We did have the state come in and clean it up, all that biohazard material, and a tune of $120,000.
Yeah.
They had to clean up.
It's bad on the other side too, on the new trail is bad, and by Barnes Ave, if you go from North Utica over there, that whole thing,
Well,
it's
Barnes
not
Ave-
even safe to be somebody who walk their dog and stuff over there, cause they pop out of the woods all over the place. It's not right.
Didn't you do that one time with a pontoon?
Yeah.
No, I promise I'll work with you, it's just that, I just wanna make sure we
I
feel
get-
comfortable
I
with
get
it.
I get it.
Yeah.
And Chief, this isn't the first time you've seen this legislation, so
No.
I don't want anybody to think that this just popped up overnight. You
No,
know what
no,
I mean?
no.
Like, this is something
But-
that we've been talking about for quite some time.
But there are legal issues that we're just concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll hold off on this for a couple more weeks. All right.
Number three?
Yep, number 3. Nope, number 3's done.
One.
One.
So we're at one now.
So, before you get to 1, you'll have it in your packet. You'll have it in your packet labeled as proposed ordinance number 1, after the public safety fee. Now, this one that's separate, outside of your packet, this is the new one.
So the one in there doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
Yeah, okay.
no. So, actually, if you just wanna go through this, the only thing you'll see what I took out from the original legislation I submitted, and that's, I mean, it really doesn't, it matters more
Right,
what we're
it still
doing.
matters, so go
Go to the,
with-
we'll go to the new one,
Just go to the new one.
and then I'll go through it on what's been changed. And what's been added. Okay, so we'll go to the one that's in the paperclip by itself. So the first page does not change.
Did I write it in yellow on the change?
No, second page does not change. Third page does not change. Fourth page, I took out miscellaneous, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that did change. The only thing that it's added, that's left is other sections. And then you go into real property. All right, so in the old legislation, the The one I submitted to you guys had 1, 2,
Took out
3, and 4.
miscellaneous.
Yep. Number 5 at the bottom. Does change word section 2-17-5, evidence and presumption. We took out the whole evidence component. We replaced it with section 2, put it to section A. Page 6, where it says, it had presumptions of the purpose, it just changed it to the existence of 2 or more, to the, any of the combination of the following, okay? That was that, so that's on, yeah, that's on the presumption, so that's section 2-1- or 2-17-5 and evidence and presumptions. So the new one just cleaned up a little bit of that language. 2-5, 2-6, presumptions, all right. Where it says administrative hearing, the only thing that we changed, it had the county clerk, we changed it to the city assessor. We added a section 5 where it says appeal to the public safety commissioner must be made 30 days of service of the order. For the hearing panel, we took out, well, we added, refer to the codes department for consideration to issue a new certificate of occupants in connection of any of the applicants that have been charged, that have been put to the public hearing, or the hearing panel. 8 changed, we amended that section to state, that's 2-19. Okay, we changed that section to say the corporation council may bring a civil proceeding in the name of the city of Utica to convert the final decision and order of the hearing panel into a judgment. And then it goes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We took out the court may grant, we put the city may apply for a preliminary injunction. We took out section 8H on section 2-19. That's kind of a lengthy section. Took out H. We took out additional notice, release of information, proceeding to remove the tenant. We took out those sections. And then sections 12, 13, and 14 did not change. So this in this new packet is what we sat down with the Corporation Council and Public Safety Commissioner went through. So Chief, your components that you wanted added to that are in the penal law articles, the penal law sections, and then it goes down to the other sections. So we added those components that you suggested on there.
I saw that, thank you.
Helps
us address the convenience stores that are operating illegally.
Yeah, so that's, we pretty much tightened up the language, added new language, and really, I mean, the rest is pretty much self-explanatory, on that. So as far as that new one goes, I submitted it to everybody, but that was, I mean, we sat down for almost 4 hours and went through, debating whether or not what sections we thought were right, and I think at the end of it, we all pretty much agreed that that's what we wanted to do moving forward. And to submit to the council. So it is a lot, it's a lot of language, but.
Councilwoman Testa, just looking through here, I have to double check this, but the penal law articles, was 221 repealed? The old marijuana laws and 222 was enacted for the reforms?
I don't think so. I think they just changed the language,
In 21, it was 2021,
not that I know of.
Article 2. Could we look into that, just to make sure it wasn't
You can
repealed when
look
new
into
laws
that.
came into it?
Come on, Joe, I mean, if you thought that there was something wrong that you wanna remove.
I mean,
it,
I'm
I gave it to
I'm
us.
looking at it now, and I'm just thinking, I don't want to pass
I
anything
just thought that 221 was, the language of it was changed from
I'll-
marijuana to also.
Look into it to see if there wasn't an additional article added for the new reforms in 2021.
Yeah, there was,
Joe, you're gonna do that?
Yeah, I'll do it.
the last thing that I saw in Article 221 was that the language was changed, for what they labeled marijuana. They changed the name of it. I'm gonna Google search it. Article 221. No, I'm looking at New York State penal law. I mean, Jack, I've drafted the whole legislation. It takes me 22 seconds. Contains the statutes related to cannabis-related, oh, yeah. Substantially reformed under the Marijuana Regulation Taxation Act, which was signed into 2021. So they were substantially reformed under Article 221. And again, I think they changed the name from marijuana to cannabis. Because we had to change that in our legislation when we had the no smoking. I wasn't on the council, man. But you,
No smoking in the park.
yeah. Remember, if we had to change it, because they changed the language of the I wasn't on the council then, but I remember it had to get changed. Yeah, if you guys look through this. I mean, if you see anything that needs to be amended or changed, let me know. I'm not perfect. Yes.
The appeal of the Public Safety Commissioner and the conversion into a judgment, we talked about that. They ended up in sort of the wrong places. And the appeal that's subsection 5 on 217.6, that really should go, and actually that needs a little elucidation. I could probably come up with some language to give you just to explain what the appeal process would be and that kind of stuff. But that really should go after the administrative remedies, or at the bottom of 2177 as C, and then C should probably be D. In other words, right after service of the decision in order, and that would trigger the time to take the appeal. And the other thing is, the conversion into a judicial decision, into a judgment, you move that into the section that should be left alone, and that would be the optional process to bring it to court, which has to be done if you want an eviction. So we were trying to streamline the administrative remedies short of an eviction to shorten the time in which something will get done with this. And then that decision, as appealed, would then, the Corp Counsel could bring it to court for an immediate conversion into a judgment without all the brouhaha of an extended evidentiary proceeding. And the standard of review there is very limited. It'd be substantial evidence and not arbitrary or capricious. And that's a very limited, based on the record that would be developed in one of these, that'd be a very limited appeal. So you couldn't have a liberal judge saying, oh, I'm not gonna do all this. They have to, or you take it right to the appellate division.
That was subsection 1, where there was substantial evidence based on whether or not it was
Yeah.
arbitrary and capricious.
Right.
Okay.
So
And that was
the-
supposed to be into that subsection 1.
Well, that's okay there,
Okay.
but I think in terms of the way this would lay out, you'd have the appeal process to the commissioner and the conversion into a civil judgment as part of the end of subsection section 2177. Or you could do it after posting of orders, but those would be separate proceedings. And then you would go back and put 2179 the way it was. I think we can look at that and get that straight. But
Okay.
but the ideas are all
I had my notes, and when we were writing
Yeah,
them
it
down.
was a lot going on.
I was like trying to write everything down just to
Yeah,
make sure I had
it was 4 hours of stuff.
I tried to keep my notes.
No, but, the ideas are there. I think we just need to revise it one more time.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank
Would you send it to me, the revisions?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
What else you got?
We're gonna pass this tomorrow.
If his revisions are, if he gets the revisions to me tomorrow.
Okay.
The only other
1 and 3.
one that I have is this one. Here it is. Sorry. Is the unsafe building law. It's under the building and regulations. You actually just got it in your emails. There's a couple of things that I have to just clarify in the language. That's the one where we deemed people inside a building upon proper evidence that Corporation Council can give the allowance of emergency access to buildings with property inside and a way to resolve an immediate emergency. So that one is, I don't know if Drew made, if you didn't get this one, Drew didn't make that copy?
No.
So that's one that, this actually just clarifies some of the language in that. No, that's not it, that's not it. This is, I haven't had time, and I wanted to finalize these 3 pieces, and this one was something that we were gonna work on, but it ties into, a lot of what we were working on. But it goes into, the section of an emergency order, when the building's deemed unsafe. And if you wanna can you touch base on that, just kinda give a little explanation of what that does as far as helping the city and what they can do to vacate if somebody's inside a building that's unsafe?
The idea there was, again, to create a similar administrative process to short circuit having to go to court, which you have to do when there's a certificate of occupancy. And so the dialogue with the Corporation Council was they were concerned about a due process issue if we just, we have a building with people occupying it. It's, maybe they're trespassing, maybe they're not, and they have property in there. So upon something that rises to a level of an emergency, you don't have time to run to court. So what we thought would be the approach would be the law enforcement could clear the building and inventory the items, and then have a hearing 5 days or within 5 days to determine whether those folks had actual
Access.
permission to occupy the building. And the burden would be on them to prove that they had permission, rather than be on the police to say, you don't have permission.
The police are responsible for it, they get to store it and everything.
Well, we thought we could come up with a more administrative system of storing their property pending this administrative hearing. And then they'd say, well, some of the people wouldn't even be there, but you're taking their property. So the burden's on them to come in and get their property, and
Do we have to post something to give to them to,
well,
when you take their property, are we gonna give them something in paper saying that you gotta report this date?
well, they'd have to post on the for anybody who wasn't there saying, that's my stuff, I'm gonna take it, whatever's there,
Right.
you'd have to post it on the property that there will be a hearing in 5 days.
Okay.
Well, that was the idea, and rather than have to go to court and take it to a judge and 2 years later,
Go through it.
And this is for squatters, people that are in a home that's not theirs. So that's that, and that goes back to the administrative hearing. So when a hearing is held, the Public Safety Commissioner shall review the credible evidence, which may include but is not limited to exhibits, and take any testimony necessary to determine whether the city has sustained the burden of proof. Any party may move the Public Safety Commissioner to issue subpoenas for said hearing, and failure to comply with the terms of an issued subpoena shall be enforceable as contempt of New York State court system. Filing of an action for contempt with the And then it just goes on to explain that hearing process, which was similar to that ATV, that ATV language. So you'll get this tomorrow, just so that you know, it's ordinance amending 2-6, 105 of the City Code of Ordinances. And then it goes into subsection C. If there are persons found inside upon proper evidence of corporation counsel, which allows emergency, and I don't know if it meant to say corporation counsel, I think it might have said public safety. Was it public safety commissioner or corporation counsel?
I think you have to have the corporation counsel initiate the proceeding before the commissioner.
Okay, that's right. Okay, which will allows emergency access to the building with property inside. It gives the city the right to resolve the issue if deemed an immediate emergency. And then it goes on to that, other components. So you'll be getting that, as well. All right, and then I'll submit that to you
We'll have time
once I
tomorrow.
finalize it.
6 o'clock meeting, we can probably discuss it too.
Yeah, yeah. I plan on, if I do get the, nuisance abatement component, bringing it out for a vote tomorrow, so if I can.
Well, I'll do this tonight and just get
Okay,
it to you.
all right, perfect, I appreciate that. The other one is the graffiti legislation, that, and then I'll submit, hopefully I'll get a meeting with the judges within the next couple of weeks to talk about this legislation for,
So you're looking at 1 and 2 tomorrow?
I'm looking at 1 and 3.
Excuse me, I meant to say that.
1 and 3, and then you'll get 4, which if I can get 4 written down and submitted, get that passed too, because that's something that's, to me, that's a very important thing to try and get done as soon as possible, before the winter starts. People are in there, things like that.
Make a motion?
Any-
No, one more.
What's that?
I got one here. It's the ordinance amending the composition of the fire department. Throw it out. N 8/26/25. I guess you come to discuss this with us. This comes from Councilman Burgmaster and Williamson. Sworn personnel strength, the composition of the Bureau of Fire Department Public Safety shall consist of the following. They'd like to change things around. They want 1 fire chief, 1 assistant fire chief. Everybody should have this.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I mean, it's
Let me finish it.
6:45.
Chief, fire
Let's talk
marshal,
about this tomorrow.
assistant, would you?
I mean, the fire chief's not even here. I mean, the assistant chief is, but,
Are you here to discuss this?
I mean, Andy
Or
came
would
from
you
law.
rather Discuss it tomorrow.
I'll leave that up to the council, I'm here to, we can discuss it now or tomorrow.
Well, I would like the fire chief to be here tomorrow as well to discuss this.
I mean, we're just
Yeah,
hoping.
I've discussed with him, I'm sure he tries to make every meeting, so
So I would
unless
like
you got
to
something
you
important
guys
on,
to
he'll
be
be
here
here.
tomorrow. And Mike, I'd like you to
Yeah.
step in for the mayor if the
Yeah,
mayor
I had
doesn't
it,
be here.
and I had it, and I had it, and then I lost it.
All right?
But it's all right.
All right. It's the meeting, can I get a,
Oh, yeah, I had
call on
that.
the meeting?
What time? 6.
We're adjourned.
The purple side, we.